with Ice Cream though, at least release wise, that came a little bit later in the game. You had heard,
95.
yeah, so you had heard dozens, hundreds of beats.
Oh
Why
yeah.
was that one so different sonically to you?
And I made beats before. That's what's crazy because I was with Jizza when he was on Cold Chillin', and when that didn't work out, I remember I bought a sampler, a Kai S950. I got the Alexis HR, I think '08 or something like that, or 16 to trigger it. And I remember we was just sampling joints and we was going to the studio and we made about 5, 6 demos, me and Jizza. But then I remember going to Staten Island while we was doing that and being with RZA and watching him work and producing and making and listen to the tracks. I'm like, wait, hold on. Like, what am I doing? Like, like he had it. He knew what he was doing already. I was just sampling and putting drums on something.
Mm.
But Ice Cream was different because I think it was the transition. I heard how it started. I heard him how it worked while he was working on it. Then I heard the finished product. And hearing that, it was like, yo, it kind of called to me the same way DJing called to me when I became a DJ. So,
And
I guess it's like when you, because I even with DJing, I've been to plenty park jams before. I seen DJs up there DJing, but on this particular day, when I seen Grandmaster Vic up there in 40 Park and 40 Projects getting busy and so graceful, and I'm just looking like, wow, yo, that's like I want to do that. So sometimes things just call you, and when you see it, you're attracted to it, and it becomes a passion. And that's yeah, it's a time and place for everything.
well, with that too, I think it's important you said grace because rap, I think most people think of power, for instance, and force, but there's so much grace and elegance to it if you really step back and just look at it for what it is. So why do you think that the gracefulness of it appealed to you when we're so, I would argue, conditioned to look at things from a different lens?
Well, maybe it's because that's a good question. But when you look at it, even in boxing, I'm a big fan of boxing. It's like Muhammad Ali was graceful, one of my favorite boxers. Floyd is graceful. Um, you look at you have Vic was like I said, Grandmaster Vic was graceful, but he was powerful too because I used to hear him getting busy. I used to see him like flashing behind the back, the handcuffs. So he did all that too, but just to see that the it's like Pame and Fist of the White Lotus. He powerful, hit you with that palm. You take them, what was it, seven steps? You
Okay.
dead. Yeah, you're dead. He drop. But there's a scene when Gordon Liu rolled up on his temple and tried to attack him, and he was just so Dodge just so graceful with it, like moving, like he couldn't touch him. And it's like when you see things like that, like somebody with all their might trying to touch somebody and you can't touch them, and they just graceful with it. It just like wow, that's crazy that you can do that. So I think the gracefulness is a part of it because it attracts you as well. The power too, though. I think you have to be complete in everything that you do. You have
Yeah.
to.
Well, I
Like you
do
gotta be able to
remember,
hit that death blow, but you gotta be, you know.
yeah, but think about it, when we were growing up, I assume we're around the same age, but I mean, Dr.
How old are
J,
you?
Dr. J and Jordan
You
were,
don't want to answer that one.
oh, what'd you
I
say?
said, how old are you?
49.
Okay, yeah, okay,
But
yeah.
and
I'm older than you, but it's all good. Yep.
but I would assume that with Dr. J is graceful, but then he would kill you with the death blow.
Yeah.
Jordan, same thing. It was that's what it was when we were growing up and seeing that you could appreciate the grace of Dr. J flying through the sky or Jordan, but then they would put it down. So
Oh yeah.
it was no doubt about it. Uh, that being said, one of the amazing things about the Black Samson is that you're teamed up with Macroverse and are doing 5,000 domestically and 1,000 in London, different covers.
Yeah.
So, as an artist yourself, who designed the Wu-Tang logo and all these other things you've done over the years as an artist, what was it about that angle of releasing Black Samson that appealed to you?
Oh, it was a couple of things. One, that it was never done before. And it was a crazy thought that you can make 5,000 covers and each one is unique. And as a record collector, I would love to, like, if I could have got my hands on, let's just say Isaac Hayes album. He only had 5,000, but I got my hands on one of them 5,000 that was unique to me and nobody else had it but me. Yeah, that right there piqued my interest. Like, we got to do that. We got to do that. Because once I heard about, like, I heard about like Cypress Hills when they had they did their orchestra. They
Oh yeah,
rocked
I
the
wrote I wrote the articles for that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what they did their flyers or the pamphlets.
Yeah, it was
Look,
a pamphlet for the London Symphony Orchestra, July 2024. And
right.
every cover of the playbill or the magazine you get when you went to the London Symphony Orchestra with Cypress Hill, you got a different cover, and I got several of them. Shout out to Macroverse for that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that idea, it's like, wait, we could do this with an album. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yes.
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. And I think that the fans who's able to get a copy, they will love that. I think, they're numbered 1 through 5,000. So whatever number you got, you still got one, and nobody else has the one that you have.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would flex with that. Like, see what I got.
Right. I'm waiting for mine in the mail right now.
Nice, nice.
Okay. And speaking of that, I do remember on Liquid Swords that you had done the logo, the design, the illustration, and all
Yeah,
that. So, for people that didn't know that and didn't know you did the Wu logo itself, for Liquid Swords, since that was, I would argue, unusual at the time for a rap album to be illustrated, it wasn't unprecedented because lots of people had done it, but it was also unusual in '95 for that to happen. Do you remember why Genius wanted that? Did you approach him with that? Did he come to you because he knew you drew? Like, how did that work?
yeah, kind of. Jizza definitely approached me, but back in them days, I used to carry my black book. I used to draw all the time back then, so um, it wasn't unusual for us to be hanging out together, and I'm drawing something, and we watching the karate flick, and I'm creating certain characters, and for Jizza to see and be like, yo, that's dope, and I thought it was dope when he did his album that he wanted that and he wanted the chessboard and he used the characters even though I didn't draw the final illustration of it. The final illustration was drawn by was it Cyril, but he drew for New Image Comics, dope artist, and part me, forgive me, I can't remember his name off top. I think great dude though, great artist too, but he murdered it, he killed it. And it was crazy just to see my designs come to life. I remember going to his apartment, to his crib or whatever, sitting down with him, me and Jizza, going through everything, talking things over. He went through my book, and we, yeah, that was many moons ago.
And why, how and why did you and Jizza in particular have a bond like that at that time?
Well, Jizza used to live in Southside Queens at one point. I knew his family. I knew a lot of his family that because they lived around, like, really around the block from my mother crib. I used to hang with Life. Life is the one that sang Cold World. He was an older brother. We just had a Me and him, we just had a camaraderie from day one. From day one, even when he first heard me DJ, he was like, "Oh, yeah, you coming with me on the road." And I went with Jizz on the road. I became his DJ. And even when things didn't work out and, he was doing the Wu-Tang thing and I was stepping away, he was like, nah, I need you. Come on, come on. So, that's a brother I can never I can never deny that brother anything. You know what I mean? Because he let me live out my expression. Him, because maybe I might not have been doing what I'm doing now had he not said to be, come on, let's come on, now you got to come.
Really?
Yeah, really.
So genius is really the key then.
Yeah, yep. RZA's a important key in my life too. As far as like, because I knew RZA longer.
Right.
I met RZA years before I met Jizza. Even though I knew Jizza's family, I used to hear about Jizza all the time from like his family and brothers around the way because he had moved. When I was old enough, because he's older than me. When I was old enough to hang on the block, but you hear like you hear the stories about his great MC and this and that, and I wanted to meet him for a while. And every time I would come back around the block, they'd be like, "Yo, you just missed him. Like, get out of here." You know what I mean? So it took a second for us to connect, but once we connected, it was a beautiful thing.
Hmm.
No, that's my brother.